We've got a really nice little Mustang sleeper on today's show. When you first look at this car, you say, it's a pretty clean little 65 Mustang. It's a coupe, doesn't have fancy wheels, probably a small motor that gets good gas mileage. But you look a little closer at that front fender and you can see a V badge, which usually means there's a V8 under the hood. But wait, this isn't a GT, this is a very basic Mustang, and that badge says 289 High Performance. What's going on here? There were a bunch of different options available on a 1965 Mustang, starting with a 170 cubic inch straight six engine that made a whopping 101 horsepower. The standard V8 was a 210 horsepower 289. They could have added a 4-barrel to that 289, making 220 horsepower. But what we're looking at is known as the K-code high compression version of the 289. It's got solid valve lifters and a 4-barrel special intake manifold, and this thing made 271 horsepower. Now usually the K-code was part of the GT package, so the Mustang was special on the outside as well. But that's what makes this car very, very unique, because this is just a base Mustang, but it has the factory installed 289 high performance V8 under the hood. Now, normally when you open the hood on a Mustang and you see the 289 high performance V8, you're opening the hood on a GT car. And in fact, this is the engine that was used in the Shelby cars, but not this one. This is kind of a base model Mustang. So somebody specifically ordered this engine for this car, and they didn't stop there. There's one more unique little option, and that's the power brakes. And basically this is a drum brake car that has power assist. But normally the 289 Hypo V8 cars had disc brakes. So again, we've got a kind of a mismatch of options, but it's what makes this car so unique. Now the K-code comes from the 5th letter of the VIN, which is on the inner fender. And if it's got a K, it was installed from the factory with that 289 high performance engine. There were a couple differences in the 289 Hypo cylinder heads. The castings were the same as the regular 289s, but if you could remove the valve cover, you would see a screw-in rocker stud, and a little cup was machined in to keep the valve springs in place. And the block was also the same as a regular 289, but the main bearing caps were much more stout than the standard 289. So the engine was designed to spin faster and stay together. It also had larger connecting rod bolts than a regular 289. The Hypo had 3/8 bolts instead of 5/16 of an inch. The harmonic balancer is thicker than a standard 289, and the Hypo had a better flowing exhaust manifold. The 289 Hypo also had a dual point distributor and special pulleys. This car has a 3.5-to-1 open rear differential, so when you couple that with the 289 K-code and the 4-speed, you're probably looking at about mid-15-second quarter miles, because this thing's rolling on 14-inch wheels with 14x7-inch tires that were bias ply technology, and a leaf spring rear axle, which wasn't known for having outstanding drag race traction, but it was a heck of a lot of fun to drive. Inside the car, you'll see a standard interior, which means it's got black plastic accents and no fancy fake wood grain like a deluxe car. And the interior code is color number 25, which is red, which matches the outside exterior color, which is code J, painted in Rangoon red. One of the cool things about this particular car is how original it is. It's had one repaint, but only on the outside, which means that the door jambs and under hood area is still original paint as it was from the factory. There are a few neat things inside the car. It has a factory 4-speed transmission, because all the Hypo V8 cars came with that. It does have a console with the rally pack gauges that flank both sides of the steering column. And the only non-original thing in this interior is the audio system that somebody added. But the team here at the Brothers Collection has the original radio, and they're going to switch it back. So outside of that one repaint, this car will be 100% correct as it came from the factory. K-codes in general are pretty rare cars. From 1964 and a half through 1967, they only made about 13,231 K-code Mustangs of all flavors, being the hardtop, the convertible, and the fastback. And when you take out the fact that most of those were GTs, you're looking at a much smaller number of base model Mustangs like this one having that engine. We do know that in 1965, there were only 334 hardtop K-code Mustangs built, and much fewer of those were base model Mustangs. Not all the cars in the Brothers collection are over-the-top special edition cars. Some are more regular guy cars or plain Jane versions like our 65 here. But they all have a cool story. What do you think? Share your comments on our Facebook page or YouTube channel, and you can subscribe to our newsletter at MuscleCarOfTheWeek.com. And we'll see you next time with another cool car.